Assertive is a match for assertive. Like if we're playing the card game, the matching card game, you flip over assertive and assertive, it's like, oh, it's a match. But you flip over passive, the match is aggressive. Okay, so I have to tell you guys about this story. The other day, I'm with my kids. We're walking to the hot tub, and my daughter is just telling me this story about something at school. And she goes, "That was assertive, right, Mom?" I'm like, "Yeah, baby, that was assertive." She goes, "That means I matter and you matter, right, Mom?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what that means." And we kind of sat for a while. We get in the hot tub, and I was asking both my kids, I'm like, "Okay, so replay that scenario." I'm like, if that person was more passive, how would they have responded? And we start running through these scenarios. And then I said, if they were more aggressive, how would they have responded? And we're just kind of playing around with different things. So then I'm like, okay, like pick a scenario that was stressful for you lately. My daughter, I can't remember, my daughter's crush was like trying to hug her at school, and it was freaking her out. This was a while ago. And I said, okay, how did you react? And then she tells me, and I'm like, was that passive, aggressive, or assertive? And we all were like, aggressive. That was so aggressive. I'm like, okay, sometimes aggression is necessary if you're in danger. Sometimes it's like, don't even think about it, just get yourself to safety. I'm like, were you in danger? No. Okay, so say this person really is a good, nice person, just like Bubba, just wants to love. Like, if you're considering his feelings and yours, if you are in assertive, what could you have said? So we start playing around with different scenarios of um, like, hey, I know you like me, but I'm feeling uncomfortable with these hugs or whatever, right? So I'm just like walking her through what different scenarios could look like. And as I'm talking to both of my kids and running both of them through different scenarios that have stressed them out, whatever, I was looking at them just in awe, like total awe. And I was like, you guys know more about this than a lot of adults. And then it popped in my mind, like, why don't I just teach this in a video? So this might seem very basic to some of you, but if you are willing to sit and look of where do I typically sit on this scale and where does my partner sit on this scale, I find it incredibly informative and helpful to get into a healthier type of relationship. I learned this first from my therapist after getting divorced, and she wrote this out for me. So she says there's two rules of a healthy relationship. The first rule is always do your best. And the second is always expect the other or demand or require the other to do their best. So these are the two rules to a healthy relationship. When you are really far on the side of I'm always going to do my best, that would be passive, right? Whenever something comes up, it's like, oh, it's my fault. I did this. I need to fix this. If I only did this, it would have been better. If A, B, C, D about myself were different, then this would have gone differently, right? Typically, I would say that women are far more likely to become passive. And I believe that's just because feminine energy is more of an internal reflective energy. Masculine energy is more of an external, the problem is out there type of energy. I'm going to fix the problem and it's out there, right? So we judge this pretty hard of saying men are more aggressive, women are more passive, but it is kind of more true to our nature. If you are really far on the end of, I always expect, demand, and require my person or other people to do their best, and I have high expectations of others, that would place you more on the aggressive side of things. Aggressive is more willing and apt to take, whereas passive is more willing to give. When we are equally both, if we can equally see ourselves and others at the same time as we communicate, as we make decisions, as we go through life, if we can see our need and another's need at the same time and consider both, it's considered assertive. Assertive means you can give and take or receive freely. You can do both. It's a place of peace, it's a place of power. When we are assertive, we are in a regulated nervous system and we can make conscious decisions wisely. We can create freely. We're in typically more of the true self. We are aware of our gifts and talents, and we feel far more comfortable. Assertive is a safe and a comfortable place to be. It feels good. It feels very, very good. When you are assertive, you naturally send out an electromagnetic field that draws more assertive people to you. Assertive is a match for assertive. Like if we're playing a game of like, what's the card game, the matching card game? You flip over assertive and assertive, it's like, oh, it's a match. But you flip over passive, the match is aggressive. When you think of this scale, it's like a teeter-totter. And when someone drops into more aggressive, say things are going well, both people are more assertive, but one partner starts going aggressive, in order to keep this happy, balanced, everything's fine, someone has to be more passive. And then, oh, look, here we're balanced. Externally, you can look like, oh, this relationship is lovely. Everything's going fine. Nothing's wrong. Nobody's fighting. We're all good. But someone can be on extreme aggression and someone can be on extreme passive to be keeping this little pendulum the equilibrium going, right? Does it feel good? No. Underneath the surface of the smiles, this can feel very, very unsettling. And typically the passive person is really hyper in tune to the aggressive person, and they're constantly doing a little shift. Oh, do I need to move this left or right to keep this equilibrium, right? To keep me feeling safe. We naturally want to be in this balanced state. Unfortunately, sometimes it requires moving your way to assertive and seeing what the other does. If the other person can't meet you there, oftentimes that relationship would have to end. As we do more healing and get more assertive, the people who aren't healing with us, it's going to be so wobbly and so much friction, so much unsettled issues that the relationship will break or fall, right? Good thing is if you can choose to be assertive and stay in assertive, you can attract assertive people to you and have very healthy, happy relationships. But it's a bit of a tango getting there if you're stuck in the passive and aggressive match. So let me just give you a little bit more information on the two. I would love for you guys to play with this at home, kind of notice you or relationships around you, like where is everyone at? How are we all behaving? So if you're pretty far passive is give and give and give and give, adjust myself over and over, be quieter, be more obedient, be more behaving, right? This is more of a doormat type of personality where everyone can walk all over you and you don't say a thing, you just smile and act like that's totally fine. Passive is more likely when things get very, very stressful or you get into really dysregulated nervous system and you're in a passive state. A passive is more implosion. So it's just complete destruction of your self-confidence, your sense of self, your desires, all of it can crumble, right? It's an internal explosion. And it's more of depression or anxiety on this highly passive person. Again, assertive, you could give and take and receive freely. I matter, you matter. That's just the mantra of the assertive person is I matter and you matter. We both matter here. And it's very much let's find something that works for everyone and where we all feel good. And then if you're far on the aggressive side, you're doing a lot of blaming, a lot of they did this, it's their fault. You take and take and take freely without being able to see your effects on others. This is more of the bully, or as someone would say, more of a narcissist. It all is just wounding. It's going into a reactive trauma state from things that have happened in your life. So this scale, people will say like, he's a narcissist, and it's just, he's in this box of aggressive. Yes, maybe, but this scale is very malleable, especially if someone's willing to heal. And someone can take the steps more towards assertive. There's always, in my opinion, there is always healing. Always. There's always that option to heal. But if you're pretty far aggressive, you're the bully. And when there's an explosion or an extreme pressure within the relationship, this is an external explosion. So it's blowing up, getting angry, getting maybe violent, being on the extreme, blaming, pointing fingers, attacking another person's sense of self or their decisions, right? It's always the other person's problem. So this is, more the narcissist, and anxiety, high anxiety would be if you're really far on that end. So I would love for you to just sit and look at, where am I on this scale? Sometimes we'll go passive, 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 and then we hit a breaking point, and then we'll jump like aggressive, and it's just a blow up. So there's a thing like that that can happen also, depending on how far you get. And when we understand this scale, it's really beautiful at any given moment to be like, okay, am I behaving more passively right now? Is there a way that I can be more assertive? Is there a way where I can say, yes, this was my part and this was your part, and let's climb to the center where we both play a better part. It takes a lot of courage, especially for a woman who's been extremely passive, to start taking steps towards assertive. I remember when my therapist was teaching me this, she was saying, okay, give me an example of this. And she goes, every time I have like a really passive woman and I ask them, okay, give me an example of passive and give me an example of aggressive. She goes, the aggressive, like that they think is far extreme on aggression side, is actually an assertive. She's like, that's assertive. Like, so it feels like a big climb to someone who's used to being like, oh, it's me, it's me, it's me. It's my fault. I did that. I did that. I did that. Let me give and give and give and give and give to try and make up for my wrongdoings, right? To get more assertive is such a climb, and it's a climb that's well worth it. And as you make the climb, the other person will feel more safe to come to where you're at as well. Typically, I feel like it can create this harmonious environment where both people make the climb to the center. If someone just absolutely refuses and it's the other person's fault, no matter what, game over, typically the relationship would end, and it's a relationship that probably should end, so that you can have something more healthy in your life. So anyway, this is my cute little rendition of passive aggressive assertive, and I hope it's helpful. If you find yourself somewhere on the scale and you don't find your relationships harmonious, and even if it looks like really great on the outside, you feel inside like, I'm not heard, I'm not seen, I don't matter here, I'm the bad person always, If you feel like that, or if you catch yourself more aggressive and you want to be more gentle, more assertive, feel free to come and see me. There's different ways to work with me. I do one-on-one sessions, and then we have weekly group clearings for healing all of these things, getting more into a safe, healthy, harmonious, assertive relationship. So I invite you to hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you on the inside.